Kyle Shanahan, for the second year in a row, will not show. Robert Saleh not there. Sean McVay. Was Sean McVay the first to no-show the combine?
I think he was ahead of the curve. He was ahead of the curve.
Matt LaFleur no-show in the combine. So no Kyle Shanahan at the combine. Him and his coaches. It's going to be Adam Peters and John Lynch and the front office.
Listen, I have no problem. These coaches, and I know Kyle specifically, got good word, does not like doing the media thing, like where all the reporters are there. He says, I talk all season long. There's all this unknown coming up in a couple weeks. Like, it's pointless for me to talk.
You went up to him after the media scrum, the last one he did, and said, we'll get you on the pod. And he said, cool, and he hasn't come back since.
No, he has not. I have no problem with skipping that. Belichick, who attends the combine, I don't know, for 50 straight years, skips that. Does not talk at the combine. I do think they should attend, though, the workouts. If I'm the league, I want my coaches there. I also have a little bit of a problem from an old school scout in me. Like, you get an opportunity to meet some of these guys. I get you don't have a first and second round pick, but you have 17 thirds. You are going to get the opportunity to meet some of these guys and some of these players. You are going to interview, right? The 49ers are not going to be interviewing Anthony Richardson and Will Anderson, right? They're going to be interviewing potential third to fifth round picks.
Yeah.
And like Pete Carroll's there, Andy Reid goes. I mean, Belichick goes. I mean, you got three guys that have won a shitload of games. They're all 65 to 70 years old that think that this thing is important. And Kyle clearly does not.
Joins on Zoom.
Yeah.
That's what we did for the meetings last year. Joined on Zoom.
I read he's going to do that again.
So the first part I agree with you on. I very strongly agree with you on. This is an NFL show, and the NFL should have its coaches there for its show. And what I would say is actually not there for the workouts. I would say, coaches, if you're not coming, Kyle, if you're not coming, we're going to pick a day. All the coaches that aren't coming, that RSVP no, we're going to pick a day. 2 of you are going to come on the broadcast with Rich Eisen and DJ on Thursday. 2 of you are going to come on Friday. Like, I'm going to get all my coaches on this NFL Network combine coverage. You don't have to sit there for 8 hours today, but you are going to have a time slot from 4:15 Pacific to 4:30 Pacific. We are scheduling you on the show. You can fly in and you can use Jed's. If you want to ask Jed for his plane, you can fly in, land, do the interview, and leave if you want. But you're going to do, that's what you're coming to do. You're going to do that. That would actually be how I would use them. I would make them do the interviews. I would not make them sit there, just so I can get a shot of them in the crowd. But I would make them do the interviews. And I would mandate it if I were the league, and I'd put it in all their contracts if I were the teams.
I totally agree. I mean,
now the flip side is I actually don't. Is it the worst thing in the world? And this is kind of tongue in cheek, but not. Kyle kind of fell in love with Joe Williams, and the Niners drafted him, and that didn't work. And he really liked C.J. Beathard, and you could argue it actually worked. It was a good pick. He's an NFL backup quarterback. They drafted him where backup quarterbacks get drafted. That having my coach not be there in person to fall in love with a player isn't the worst thing in the world. The guys that my front office recommends we come and bring in for a visit, we'll then bring in for a visit. But let John and Adam Peters do their work independent of Kyle, just be in the personnel only mind, keep the coach away from it for a little while, and then bring him the guys that, I mean, he wasn't at the thing last year and they drafted Brock Purdy.
Yeah, I mean, I can say, and, who else did they draft last year? I mean, the other guys that have
Trey
started.
Jackson.
Yeah, so I have no issue from a scouting perspective, like separate them, whatever. I'm talking more from a league perspective. I want them there.
A starting offensive lineman they drafted?
Ultimately, I would also say this, like, what the fuck's he actually doing at the office? All these guys.
Putting staff together, John.
Like Robert Saleh, what are you doing, man? If I'm the league, I mean, these are 4 like top 10 draft picks. If you're Rich Eisen, like you would want in the booth with you, right? For 15 minutes. And you could argue when you factor in Rodgers.
Hey, Matt, have you talked to Aaron Rodgers? That'd be a big story this week.
Robert, what are you going to do at quarterback? Kyle Shanahan is easily just one of the more famous coaches in the league right now. My point is, even if I separate it, we can encompass everything, the league and from a 49ers perspective. If Andy Reid and Bill Belichick do it, should you? And then there's an element of like things change, industries change. I used to thought when we first got into radio, like you had to watch every game. And it turns out like, no, we're an entertainment product. Like if you could entertain, like there are a lot of guys that probably watch every game. If they can't entertain with you, you're not going to listen to them. Right. So Kyle might say like, what am I actually gaining there? Like, does Andy just go because he likes to go? I don't like to go. Right. So I don't know. I mean, I understand both sides, but I just know arguably the best coach of all time and currently the best coach in the league. They attend this thing. They have a combined 80 appearances.
Well, who had the famous line? Was it Ray Lewis? You pay me for practice. I play games for free.
Yeah.
Like you get to call plays for free, right? But you have other things as part of being an NFL head coach that are called responsibilities. And the combine, while it's not the Super Bowl or week 1 Thursday night football or Sunday night football or whatever, is one of the primary off-season products that the NFL has. The draft.
It does feel, I just saw this in the comments. This is all this whole crew's under 43, kind of cool, think they're a little above it. You know, it just kind of feels like that, doesn't it? It's not just
it's definitely
there's a couple older coaches
grow up
also
in the era where you had to go, right? They've become head coaches in an era where it's just
they've literally chosen not to go. They said, "Fuck it, what are you going to do to me?"